Welcome to the Money Maven Project podcast. If you're here to learn how to obtain freedom over your time and money through real estate investing, you're in the right place. Create the life you want by living with intention and becoming a maven in mindset, money, and real estate. Now, here's your host, Justin Monk.
Hey, this is Justin Monk with the Money Maven Project podcast. I am super excited this afternoon. We got Antoine Martel on with us. And just reading through your bio, man, I'm super excited to hear your story and hopefully pick up some good advice, some good tips from you. So let's start out by maybe giving us kind of your background, a little bit of your bio, and then tell us kind of how you got started in investing and where you're at today.
Sure. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. How I got started. So it was 2015. I was in college. I was graduating college in 2017. So I had about 2 years left. My brother took me and my dad to a real estate seminar, learned about flipping houses, rental properties, apartment buildings. After that, I became absolutely addicted to it, listening to every podcast I could, reading every book, and then networking my ass off. I even, so much so I moved my college classes from like 5 to 10 p.m. So I had the day free to like network or cold call realtors or property managers or whatever it was.
Wow.
And so I was hustling. I was even going to like help trying to flip houses in LA. I would go to like, the showings and stuff during the day with people that were flipping and just learning as much as I could. And through all those meetings and all that kind of stuff, I realized that, I was a broke college kid. I didn't have any money to flip houses in LA. My dad had some money on the side that he was willing to invest, but it was $40,000. It wasn't $500,000 or $1 million to flip a house in LA. So I was like, all right, where the hell can we invest in real estate for 40 grand? And there's not many places you can buy houses for less than $40,000. And so I started doing research, started networking with people, and I kept hearing this out of state. Finally started diving deep into that. And then, 6 months before graduating, I started building a team out of state. Eventually found a house in Memphis, Tennessee, $35,000, bought it for 35 grand, renovated it for 5 grand, then did a cash out refinance for $55,000 right around the time I was graduating. And kind of my dad got his money back, and I was like, all right, I can keep doing this after graduating. Like, I think I got a good system here. I got a contractor, property manager, realtor. Like, I think I figured this out. I can go on a plane now. I don't have school anymore. I can go.
Yeah.
And I just kept doing that. So graduated May 2017. By the end of the year, I had like 8 to 10 single family homes in Memphis for the family. And then after that, we had kind of tapped out of that initial capital, that $40,000. And then, we looked at each other at our houses we had, and we're like, all right, what the hell do we do now? And people started reaching out to us like, hey, what's Antoine doing after graduating? Oh, he's building a real estate portfolio in Memphis, Tennessee for us, or, for the family kind of thing with the family's money. And I'm like,
yeah,
people brains exploded. So we started selling those properties to those friends and family members, which then led into what we're doing today, which is martelturnkey.com. So where we go buy houses, renovate them, rent them out, and resell them to friends and family, and now clients. We've been doing that since 2018, beginning of 2018, and we're doing anything from like 10 to 20 houses a month right now.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well done. So the first deal is a BRRRR. How did you get to the point where you were comfortable investing long distance out of state? Because I know I do the same thing. I live in Utah. I invest in Ohio. And people sometimes look at me like I'm just absolutely crazy. Like, how are you buying these houses without seeing them? So how did you kind of get to the point where you were comfortable doing that? And with obviously your dad had to be on board too, because it was his money.
Exactly. So I think it was like I had known my shit at that point. So like I had been studying real estate for like 2 years, I feel like. And it wasn't like analysis paralysis. It was like 2 years of testing stuff, like every single week, no joke. Like, let's try this. Let's try this. Yeah. Oh, this sucked. Oh, this doesn't work. Oh, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. So you learn through all of these steps that like things are not working. And then finally you like get a glimmer of light and you're like, wow, this thing actually works. And instead of freaking out or then having analysis paralysis, you actually, it's time to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. And I would put a lot of it on the people that we found on the ground. that like we're doing 2 flips a month. They had a property management company. They had contractors on board. They were a realtor. They were signing. So it was like a lot of trust in like just people, right? So it's not even about like, hey, the numbers make sense for me or what have you, but like also the people on the ground agreed with my numbers without me even telling them the numbers that I had in my head. And so I would say like really making that jump was the people that we were working with and the people that I found in Memphis. But I mean, that was a lot of hard work. I probably called like 200 realtors and brokers and property managers in Memphis, Tennessee, before I found that one guy who had just so happened to list that house that morning. And I cold called the listing and said, hey, I'm interested in your house. Can you tell me more about it? And for my dorm room. So, it takes a lot of time to get there, but I would put it a lot on that is those people.
Yeah. So the team on the ground. So, and the team consists of your agent, contractor, property management. Who else you got?
Project manager now is probably the only weird one.
Yeah.
You can think about like title company, insurance company, those can kind of like, but yeah, project managers are probably the next, like once you start scaling up from like doing like one project at a time to multiple, it's project manager is a big role. Yeah. Like, dude, I mean, just imagine like we just bought a 4 unit today. This week, we're buying like 10 units alone. And so imagine for the last couple of weeks, like these guys have been submitting the offers, walking through the houses, sometimes getting 3 bids on a house, then looking at those bids, then talking to the contractors, then approving a bid. And then, like it's like 30 bids they got in the last 3 weeks. And some of their contractors are tapped out. So they have to test new contractors. So that's like, in Cleveland, we have like 2 or 3 project managers at this point. So it's getting to manage like 11 or 12 contractors and be hiring constantly new ones. Yeah. So yeah, that's the scale role is not the property management. It's pretty easy to scale it up. You just need more PMs, but yeah, the project management is the difficult one to find because it's hard to train unless you like just see a bunch of deals. It's a really hard thing to learn about reading all the bids and scopes and stuff. Yeah, it's almost something that comes with experience. They almost have to have some experience doing it, or it's just yeah, exactly. So it's a big train up period. So like one project manager will walk with somebody else for 6 months before they can even do it themselves because there's so much. You can't just read a book about project management for single family homes. Yeah, sub $100,000. There's no book like that. So no. So. Now this is awesome because I think a lot of what would you tell people that are, maybe they're doing some research or listening to some podcasts, they've casually run some numbers, looked at a few deals, but they're just not, they're just hesitant to get started. What would your advice be? Yeah, I would say, man, that's hard. Cause I have like some people even today that I met in 2015 that still have not invested in real estate. And they call me every 9 months and say, Antoine, I found the next best thing. And I'm like, buddy, you've been finding the next best thing 5 times. I know that. I don't know. Yeah, man. And it's like, oh, this is better than everything you're doing. And I'm like, okay, well, let's see. Do it then. Show me. Do it. Yeah. Why haven't you done it yet? Exactly. So I think in real estate, there's so many ways to invest through. Like people have this, bright light or shiny object syndrome. Where they go from Airbnb to flipping houses to ground up construction to the next sexy thing, to selling houses through NFTs and stuff like now, this kind of stuff that I'm hearing about. And I'm like, dude, you just start with that one single project. How do you get somebody to do that? Man, that's the hard part. Like, I don't know what pushes people over the edge. Obviously with like when we sell our product, turnkey rentals to our clients, it's like they're buying because they trust us. They trust the numbers. We introduce them to past clients. So there's like this trust and credibility that comes along with us because we've been around for, 5 years or so now. And there's this trust factor that comes along with it. And if you're just buying something off some random realtor or broker, you really got to do your due diligence and, you can't have any anxiety about it. So worried about the contractor. Okay. Ask for some referrals. Worried about the house that you're buying, get a third party inspection. Worried about X, Y, and Z. Like there's things to compensate for all those things. And if you're still not happy, then maybe this is not right for you. Maybe you need to just go buy turnkey rentals instead and find a company that you trust, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you hit it on the head. Like there's always a way to compensate or to hedge the risk, right?
Calculated risk is what we use all the time.
Exactly. And I talk about this all the time on the podcast, that people have to get through their head that there's no perfect deal. You will never know everything about the deal. Even if you go walk it, even if you fly to Ohio and you go walk the place, like there still could be stuff going on that you don't see, right? So that was one lesson I had to learn early on. Was I was talking myself out of deals because I was like, okay, well, it's got this, or this might happen. So, it's not perfect. I'm out. I'll go find the next one. So I missed out on a lot of deals early on because I was looking for the perfect thing, the perfect equation. All the numbers were perfect and no unknowns. And that doesn't exist. So people have to get in their head that there's always going to be some unknowns. How you deal with that is like you said, you build a team. You build a team that can then hedge those risks. I have a third-party inspection, $350 every time. It sucks, but that's how I see the property. I get 100 photos, videos, and I've basically seen that property after I get that report, right? Then I've got a contractor walking through it. Then he does his work, and then the property management company goes through, and she knows the scope of work that was supposed to be done by the contractor. So she's making sure that the contractor did anything. If there's anything that wasn't done, right, then she's calling them out on it. So there's I hedge, and I kind of have a check and balance system that helps me hopefully, not be exposed to too much risk. Yeah. There's always going to be some risk. The irony is the first deal I bought, which was only 2 hours away from my house, that was the one that blew up. That was the one that we had contractor disappear on us. He was sleeping in the house for a while. Like it was just weird. And we ended up having to bail out of that deal. But now was like close. Now the far away ones, they're going okay. Wow. So it's funny. It's crazy how that worked out for us. But I think you hit it on the head. Like identify what your fear is, what you think the risk is, and then just ask yourself, all right, well, how do we hedge? How do we make that okay or less of a risk?
Yep. I agree with you. And I think I think I heard Jeff Bezos say this before, but like, if you have anxiety, it's because you know that there's a solution to the problem and you just haven't put enough time or work into solving the problem. Yeah. Because if there was no solution or whatever, then you wouldn't have anxiety. You wouldn't have anxiety about it because there's nothing you can do, So I thought it was super interesting. And it's also interesting you say that the deal, I wish you could say that more. Like I wish I could put that on a billboard, but the deal closest to you was the one that exploded. And I tell people that all the time who are first starting investing. Oh, I want to buy, the rental property down the street. And I'm like, okay, if you went to the rental property down the street, would you now not get an inspection? Now, would you just choose any contract? If you go walk that house, you have no goddamn idea what you're looking at. Anyways.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was like, I'd rather just pay the third party inspector. He sends me a 1-pager of things I have no idea what the hell is going on. And then I have time to go on Google and look them up and figure out how much it costs. It's like, I don't ever need to see these houses. Sometimes I'll get calls on martelturnkey.com too. Antoine, have you walked this house personally? No, I had people 10 times better than me walk the house. Who do you want? You don't want me walking the house.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah. No. So I wish that people talked about this more. Like, if I was buying a house across the street, I would still send an inspector. I would still send my contractor. I'd still follow the same process if it's 1,000 miles away. I'm not the expert. I don't know. I don't have a tester to see if the outlet's grounded. I don't have a level to see if the exhaust for the water heater is going slightly down or up. I'm not the professional. I don't need to see the property. I mean, yeah, it's kind of cool to go walk it and whatever. Yeah, you knock on the wood and you're like, okay, cool. Let's buy this place. But at the end of the day, you're not the expert. You need your inspector. You need your contractor. Because if you see something, hey, that might be wrong. What are you going to do? You're going to call an inspector and call your contractor. Like you're not the professional. And I mean, maybe there's probably more people. There's probably people out there that actually know how to do that. They've probably been an inspector. Now they're an investor, and that's fine. But I have a full-time solar sales gig that I'm doing all day long, and I'm investing on the side. Like, I don't have time to go see these properties. And even if, like I said, even if it was across the street, I'd still follow the same process as about just hedging the same risk that I have if I was 1,000 miles away. But people just blow this thing out of proportion that it's like, I got to go see it. I'm like, why? Like, what are you going to know that the inspector or somebody else is not going to know?
Yeah, nothing. That's for sure. You're going to make it more complicated. So
probably.
Yeah, man. 100%.
Yeah, you'll probably get you'll probably get all super nitpicky on the repairs and just, I mean.
Yeah, and it's all stupid stuff too. So a lot of people, I think, when they're first starting to, they put like all their emotions into these deals too. Like, oh, this X, Y, and Z thing. And it's like, this doesn't affect appraisal. The tenant agreed to move in with this defect that you're calling it. And so, when we get inspection reports back all the time from our clients, because we encourage them, like, hey, you're buying this house out of state, we encourage you to get an inspection report. They get one, they send it to us, and we're like, okay, we'll handle all the safety items. Oh, but Antoine, the toilet seat is jiggling, or like silly stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, okay, we can fix it, but I just want you to know, like, this does not, the tenant is already living in there. Like, if their toilet seat that's jiggling, it's like, so it's like little stuff like that just gets blown out of proportion and wastes a lot of time. But they're like freaking out over it too. They're like,
and you could waste.
How could they be living?
Yeah, you could waste a lot of money on unnecessary repairs. Yeah, I mean, we're not. Yeah. I mean, my houses, they're BRRRR. I'm not flipping them. I don't need them to have granite countertops. Like, and I'm not just putting lipstick on a pig either. We're finding a nice balance between the two kind of spectrums. But if I went and watched them, I'd be like, oh, hey, we got to fix this and this and this, and all of a sudden I'm adding like 25% to my rehab budget, and I don't want to do that. So people have to get through their mind that it doesn't make it any more risky because it's long distance. I mean, you're still going to vet your team members. You're still going to use the same professionals. And if you just ask yourself what your fear is, and then figure out how to hedge it and to make it less of a fear. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, what's preventing me from doing this deal? Well, I'm scared about this. I'm scared about this. There's a solution for everything. Trust me. You can even get a freaking rental guarantee policy for 2 years if you're scared the tenant's not going to pay rent. There's no excuse. $500 and you can get guaranteed rent payments. So there's not really an excuse if you're scared if somebody's not going to pay. There's a solution there's a business that was created for every single one of these pain points already.
Yeah. So other obstacles that new investors bump into, like, what are you telling people when they're just like, I don't have the money. I don't have the money. I don't know how to find deals. Like, what are you telling people that are in that boat?
Yeah. So I always say, like, not having money's hard. Like, real estate's a cash heavy business. I like your kind of setup, like your life, like having a full-time job that produces the income, which I call active, then having the passive thing on the side that produces the cash flow. And it's going to be like a forever kind of thing. So that, once you accumulate X amount of doors, you now have an option where you can replace the active income with like real estate income full time, or some, active income with real estate if you want to, or if you love your job, etc.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, because, everybody's life and lifestyle is different, as I always say, match your resources with like the best strategy out there.
Yeah.
So don't like choose a strategy like Airbnb, because one time I stayed in an Airbnb in 2017 and I loved the experience. So now I'm going to do it. It's like, well, dude, you don't have enough money. You have no idea. You haven't done any research on Airbnb. You don't even know the websites that you need to use to do the research. You don't have to run the numbers. Like, you can go learn all that stuff. But maybe you have, 2 kids and a dog and a wife at home that, you don't have time to go figure out all this stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to just take your money and buy a turnkey rental, or maybe you're a broke college kid that works at or somebody that works at 7-Eleven during the nighttime, and you have a little bit of money saved up and you're trying to make more money. Okay, great. Go into wholesaling. Wholesaling would be perfect to you. So look at your life, how much time you have, money you have, and then who you know is something else too. And then see kind of what the best strategy is for you is my main recommendation for everybody. I mean, even on some of like the intro phone calls with some of our potential clients or leads, I'm like, you need to go do like apartment build. You have way too much money to be doing like single family homes, or like, you have a big 1031 exchange of $1 million. And I'm like, sorry, man, like you should go buy like a big building. You can probably outpay other people. Just go find something on LoopNet and call some people and, find something else. This is not the right fit,
Yeah. Call me and I'll help them syndicate a deal. Right.
There you go.
No, I think you hit it on the head. Like it depends on, take a look at your resources, take a look at what your goal is with real estate investing. Cause if you're looking for,
true.
If it's a long-term play, like you're, kind of hedging your retirement down the road, then, you need to figure out how to do the buy and hold. If you're just looking for some quick cash, then wholesaling, flipping, like whatever, maybe you need a house hack to get started, right? That's a good way to get some capital. I mean, there's a pathway into real estate for everyone, regardless, or, for any resource, for any level of resources or for any end goal, there's a pathway in. And so people just have to get clear on what their goals are, analyze their resources. And I always believe that honestly, it's most of the time not a resource issue. It's a resourcefulness issue. Like you teamed up with your dad, 40K, right? I'm not saying everybody can do that, but there's people, especially right now, there's people with money that want to park money somewhere. And I bet in your sphere of people, if you really sat down and put together a list, there would be people that they may not go all in with you on your first deal. That's why I'm saying house hack, do some wholesaling, get one, buy a turnkey or something. But I think there's always a way, and you just have to get fully committed and set. I'm a believer in like setting these just ridiculous goals, because what it does is that I feel like it starts to make your brain think at a little bit different level. You start looking at things differently. Hey, if it was life or death that I had 100 new doors by the end of this year, what would I do? Like if it was life or death, like what would I do? Okay, well, I'd start figuring out where I'm going to get some money. Like, and I'm not saying you have to your goal has to be 100, but when you start thinking at that level, your brain also starts getting a little more creative, and it's all of a sudden the lights start coming on. So I'm a 10X fan, Grant Cardone. I like the 10X rule for that very purpose of setting those big goals can open up your mind and your eyes to see the path to get there. And not saying you have to like have those, like really chase these stupid goals, but the stupid big goals, but it really starts to kind of get you thinking.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. And I tell people all the time too, very blessed to have my dad to have the money, then be willing to invest and be willing to listen and be able to trust me along the process. Right. So like, I tell people, everybody's situation is different, but you need to find my dad somewhere. And it could be an uncle. It could be some random guy on Bigger Pockets that you both, and you go to coffee or take him to lunch once a week, and you guys just shoot it every week and just talk about stuff. And then eventually that leads into him investing in your first couple of deals and then building a business together. Right. So, there's so many stories about how people got started. And that's why I love podcasts like this. I mean, just like literally told you exactly how I went from 0 to 1. And then, somebody in my exact same shoes where their dad's working full time, has money in the stock market, interested in real estate, but doesn't have the time to do so. All right, kid, put in the work. It's going to take you 2 years and you'll figure it out and find the first deal. And your dad's going to invest in that first deal. Is going to see 2 years of hard work going into that kind of thing, hopefully. The goal setting thing is crazy too. I mean, I think, but we're doing, like I said, like 10 to 20 houses a month. And I wrote like, on a little piece of paper, about a month ago, like by the end of the year, I want to be at 40 houses a month. And I sent it to everybody on the team. I sent it to every project manager in all the markets, sent it to every broker, every realtor we were working with in all the markets. Then I sent it to the wholesaling company and Martel Turnkey. Everybody saw that little sticky note. And I said, this is what is going to happen in the next, by the end of the year, in the next 12 months. And so I want everybody to prepare and think bigger. So if you need to hire anybody, let me know right now, because I'll hire them right now because this is happening kind of thing.
Yeah. Love that.
Okay. 3 weeks later, a guy in St. Louis dropped all of his other clients and moved everything over to just handle us. He got rid of we were doing probably like the same amount of deals as a couple other people. And he said, okay, I'm pushing everything onto you. And like that's why we're buying that 4-unit this week. Last week we bought a duplex. Next week we're buying a couple duplexes. It's just overnight, just changing the mindset and letting everybody know the mindset has changed, and like being very direct, like this is going to happen. So please prepare and hire now. And he said, okay, I'm dropping all my clients and I'm hiring another project manager because I'm going to need them. This guy's already tapped out.
Wow.
So they're just speaking it into existence. I know I was even mind blown because I had never like done that before. Because, we've been going pretty quickly, like scaling pretty fast, but I don't know. As soon as I got like a little bit too comfortable with doing 10 a month, I'm like, man, I need to rip this thing open. And we can really scale the hell out of it. And I was like, all right, what would be ridiculous? 40 houses a month at the end of the year. That would be ridiculous. And I think I don't know, dude, after sending that out, I think we might, even if I'm at 20 or 30, it's still double what I thought.
Exactly. Yeah, no. And yeah, even if you miss the target of 40, you're going to be better off. And again, jumping back to Grant Cardone, if you guys haven't read the 10X rule, it's definitely a good read. That's kind of where some of this mindset comes from. He said once that they miss like 90% of the targets they set. But if you know Grant Cardone, he's blowing up. Like it's ridiculous what he's accomplishing. And so for me to hear that he said we missed 90% of our targets, but he's still growing at the rate that he's growing, I'm like, hey, that makes perfect sense. You set these huge goals, you run after them, your mind is thinking more creatively, you're more committed, you know that the goals are life-changing, so you're more committed to them, willing to sacrifice for them. Yeah. And even if you don't make the target, you're going to end up at a better place than where you are. And I think that's the whole principle of it. So I love that.
I love it.
So somebody that's delaying getting into real estate, I've never asked this question before, but what would you tell them that they're missing out on? Like, what's the cost to delay getting in?
Cost to delay. I mean, shoot. I feel like every year that goes by, just real estate, things are getting more and more expensive. I mean, there's a couple stories. Like one, I bought a couple houses personally in 2017, 2018. So right after I graduated, I started buying houses myself. And those houses, I bought them for like 60, 70 grand. I'm selling them now for like $100,000. So it's like a 40% margin on the houses, which is ridiculous. And they have like $40,000, $50,000 loans. So I'm just getting like $60,000 check, $50,000 check.
Oh my
gosh. Like taking that, and then I'm going to buy more. I'm just going to take that, put it as down payment for a couple more, and just kind of go from 3 houses to like, 6 or 8 or 10. And then I'm flipping like a lot of houses too personally. So yeah, I mean, the earlier you can start, the better. So especially if you're getting into rental properties, turnkey or BRRRR, like, 30-year financing, the earlier that you can begin, the better. And also with interest rates being so low right now, I mean, it's probably the best time to buy real estate if you can find the deals, but the deals are out there. It may be not exactly what you're looking for, but I think it's worth it to pay market value or as much as you can possibly afford to like get into something now, just because of the interest rates and all the money printing and stuff. It's going to be we're going to be on a wild ride for the next couple of years. I think it's going to be a lot of changes coming.
Yeah. I think it's just, I mean, what's the saying out there? Like, don't wait to buy real estate, buy real estate and wait. And I think the point is that wealth is built in real estate with over time, right? The long-term play, right? The loan pay downs, the appreciation, that just takes time. And so, that's why, you get in and you get in as quick as you can. And then you can start that timeline of those things building wealth for you. If you wait till, if you wait 10 years, then you start from square one in 10 years. There is no appreciation that you've earned over the last 10 years. You haven't been having somebody pay the loan down for you for the last 10 years. I I think that's why it's crucial, because time is a huge part of the equation of wealth building in real estate. And I know it's just everybody. I always say, like, I always hear people like, yeah, I'm waiting for a downturn, or I'm waiting for this, or I'm waiting for that. I'm like, you need to ask yourself how you can get in right now. Like, however hard it is, whatever obstacles are there, let's just figure out how to get it done now. Like, life or death. Yeah. If we had to get in tomorrow, how would we do it? That's the question. And because the dividends, the payout, it just starts. You finally start the clock. And I think that's huge for people that are maybe delaying. Like, you're missing out. Even if it's you go ahead.
I was just saying, I was on a mastermind like last week too, and somebody was like, I think I'm going to wait to buy my first rental property, not house, my first rental property, because I'm worried about inflation and blah blah blah. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's an argument for both sides of the coin. Like, there's an argument to wait. There's also an argument right now. I always recommend buying now. What's the best day to buy real estate is yesterday. Like, there couldn't be a better time to buy it. And it doesn't matter when, especially if you're buying like sub $100,000 or $200,000 properties, like the cheapest houses in America with affordable rents that are like sub $2,000 in economies that are doing well, and not like a boom and bust city or a small little town in the middle of nowhere with 10,000 people. I mean, like, there's so many, like, you're saved in so many ways. Like, buying a $3 million house in LA that rents out for $7,000 a month is, you're losing, $4,000 a month. Not a smart decision to ever buy. But like, buying these houses that cash flow nicely, I mean, it doesn't matter if the value gets cut in half. You're still going to be cash flowing. Rents are never going to be cut in half. Go look at the chart of rents, median rents over time. It's like this. It does not go down.
No, you're exactly right. Real estate can be very forgiving. If you've played it right and you've hedged, your risk, it can be very forgiving. And the way, the BRRRR method, the way I buy, when I'm done with the deal, I have like the loan, the bank gives me like 70% loan to value. So I have like 25-30% equity in the deal. So I could absorb a pretty tough market swing and still be right side up in the house. And I'm cash flowing. My minimum is 200, but to buy a deal, but I'm usually up pushing 300 a door. So again, rents could come way off, and I would still be breaking even, cash flowing, and even it'd have to come off a ways for me to start having to pay my own money.
But it's never going to, even in times of recession, people stop buying houses. Like, there's more renters and more rental demand. And then the guys who are renting $2,000 houses are now renting $1,000 houses, the families.
Yeah, so exactly.
The more affordable, like that affordable space is just like, it can just ride the wave of the entire economy up and down and up and down. And us seeing a 25% correction in that kind of real estate, never going to happen in our lifetime.
Well, I'm in Ohio. Like, it's never been an appreciated. It's not known for appreciation. So there's none of that fluff of like kind of make believe value. When it corrects, it's going to correct by 4% or something. It's not crazy. I think people have probably heard stories of like, well, I know somebody that he bought a house and then we had the recession and he lost his shirt. That was people were buying on appreciation only. Like, they were just buying houses, whatever. Like, if you had a pulse and a driver's license in your wallet, you could buy a house back then. And people were just buying and then holding on to it and hoping that it would appreciate. And then that's where they would make their spread. And so everybody got caught, with their pants down, because when it went down, there was no equity, couldn't rent. Like, they were big, huge, expensive houses. And that's where people lost money. They were playing the game, in my mind, they were playing the game wrong. And there wasn't a hedge. They weren't hedging their risks. And that's where people got bit in the recession. Not where we play. I don't think anyway.
Exactly. Well, and also like you mentioned, like the LTVs, like back then too, they were doing like 99% LTVs, 95% LTVs. There was like some guys that became billionaires overnight because just the financing. So like they own this, they were like, oh, I own $1 billion worth of real estate, but my leverage is, $999 million. It's like, okay, but buddy, that's not how it works.
No.
So there's this guy in Wyoming. I was actually talking to his son, and his dad used to be a big billionaire in Wyoming. And he was telling me that story. And I was like, man, it's like laughable how people just skew the truth and stuff. But I mean, now you can't even get that kind of financing. So you at 75%, even 80%, which is the highest anybody's going.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you got a 20% buffer on your stuff. It's real safe.
Yeah, I agree. So as you've been doing this since 2015, right? No,
2015,
yeah. As you've met people, you've done a lot of networking over the years. You've bumped into a lot of people. You've probably coached and kind of advised a lot of people. What has been the single characteristic that you see in the people that succeed versus those that struggle and don't succeed?
Yeah, good question. Single biggest thing, I would just say work ethic.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
work ethic and getting creative. And you said resourcefulness. I was debating between resourcefulness and work ethic, but I think you can be resourceful and not put the work behind it. It's all work. That's it. Nobody's going to pick up. The reason why I won and got that first deal is because I picked up the phone and called 250 people. Nobody else did it.
It. Yeah.
There's no reason. There's no other reason why. I was scared. Trust me, I was scared shitless calling the first 100 people. Like I was a college kid in the dorm room, like calling these people and stuff like that. I had no idea what I was talking about, but due to the work ethic is why and how I learned how to speak and talk and speak the game that these agents want to hear, to know that you're legit, kind of thing, because they could sniff it out. So yeah, work ethic. That's it. If you love it, you'll put in the work. And if you put in the work, you'll make it happen.
Yeah. I love that. Perfect. What book do you recommend, or what's one that's been a big impact in your life? Getting you where you are.
Everybody probably said Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So
very common. Yeah.
Else. I'm going to say, a book called Sell It Like Serhant by Ryan Serhant. It's a really good sales book. Talks about sales team, sales funnel, sales training, and pretty much how everybody's life is and revolves around sales. Mm-hmm. And a couple of different sales tactics in there that he uses, which I really like as well. So that's one book that I would recommend, because we have this sales team with Martel Turnkey, and I really had no knowledge about sales. So I was like, oh wow, this is really eye-opening about sales and how he runs his whole operation. Yeah,
I love that. Nobody's recommended that one before, so I'm definitely going to check that out.
Yep.
Love it. So what's the future for you, man? Like where you want to go? What's the big plans going forward now? We're going to get to 40 deals a month, and then what?
40 deals a month at the end of the year. Wholesaling business. We're doing probably like 10 to 20 houses a month too. So I'd like to scale that up to like 100 houses a month. Mm-hmm. It's much easier to scale that. Wow. Those are both short term. And then we're working on some other projects. I mean, title company, home warranty company, insurance company, all the people that we're paying pretty much in our QuickBooks. I'm just like, this is a company. Because once you have the scale, I mean, imagine you're doing 100 houses a month with wholesaling, and then another 40 houses a month, 150 transactions. I can be making 50 grand a month just starting a wholesaling company, a title company tomorrow. Right. Yeah. So that's kind of where it's gotten, just like extending my reach into all those different realms. And then we do have control over more aspects, and can hire the right people. Because sometimes we have to switch insurance companies or title companies because they don't know what the hell they're doing. So that's kind of the long-term vision. And then I've done a bunch of apartment buildings before. I've done like 5 projects, like around 100 units in total, and sold a couple of them, still own a few. But I'd like to get into that and do more like hardcore Grant Cardone syndication kind of deals.
Yeah.
It's way too hot right now, I think.
It's crazy, man.
To break into that kind of space. But I'm kind of waiting for the right opportunity and to have enough cash to be able to put it into there. Because I do think long term that's the way to go. And it's, you either go into turn into a Blackstone or a Grant Cardone. So I'm kind of which way do I want to go? Because I really know the single family home space like the back of my hand. Like, I can see a deal and I know if it's going to be a good or bad or ugly.
Yeah.
Multifamily space, I'd have to learn a little bit more. It's just you have a lot of scale with it. So that's kind of my fork in the road right now with my long-term plan.
Love that. And so you got a lot of things going on. Basically, what it sounded like to me was you're up to world domination in the real estate side. So that's awesome, man. So what's a day in the life like for you? Like, how are you balancing, because I'm sure, I know you love your work and I know you love what you do, but how do you balance like time off, time with, loved ones, whatever? Like, what's it like for you?
Yeah, so we have a pretty weird family dynamic since both my whole family works at the company now. Mm-hmm. So both my parents, my brother, I hired all my best friends from college, which is all three of them. Two of them started the wholesaling company. One of them works at Martel Turnkey. So it's kind of like friends and family now is all business and work. So we try to keep it fun. We have a quarterly meeting where we like to go travel or do something fun as a team. We couldn't travel last year, but the year before that we went to Cabo and Portland. So every quarter we're doing stuff and keeping it fun. One thing that keeps me sane is playing soccer. So I still make time for that. I play like 3-4 times a week. Try to get outside, and it's the only I can't go to the gym. I have to like go somewhere where like my phone's locked in a bag somewhere. So that's the one thing I do to keep sane. Day in the life for me: wake up 7 or 8, do emails, have an good morning call with the team, and then people go off for their stuff, and then really just putting out fires the whole day, and then doing phone calls or podcasts like this.
Yeah. What's we spend a lot of time on the podcast talking about mindset, because I think that's like ultimately the most important thing. Like, you can read 100 books on how to flip a house, but if your mindset's messed up, like, it's just, you're going to always have an obstacle in front of you. So what would be a tip or some guidance on like, what's the right mindset to have going into real estate? And I know that's a super broad question, but like, like what's the winning mindset that people have when they're going into
I've got something. So I would say that people are looking for home runs when they should be looking for base hits is the biggest problem I've seen. Bro, this deal's not good enough. I'm like, is it over 10% ROI? Is it over $200 a month cash flow? Can you get financing on it? Get it.
Yeah.
That's it. Done. Like, there should be no other question. There should be, did the inspection report come back clean? Like, is there any red flags? No, perfect. And the tenant's been there for 30 years and they're paying market rent. Okay, buddy, I don't know what else you need. Like, this sounds amazing. Send it over to me. I'll buy it.
I know a guy that will buy that.
Yeah, really.
That's funny.
So I don't know. I would say that people just base hits. And like, I have those guys that call me once a year and I finally found the deal. And like, I'm like, all right, let's hear it. Yeah. And they could have bought like every single one of those deals every year. Is what they should have done instead. But they just keep waiting and holding out and trying to always like finagle stuff. So one of the biggest things that I think has helped me scale it a lot has been like easy to work with. And I think people downplay that so much. Like they just are always worried about the money or like, I'm going to save an extra $1,000 or $400 or like call the inspector. Hey, can you do it for 50% off? It's like, are you serious? It's your first deal work. I've done, thousands of home inspections. I haven't asked one person for $1 back on my thing. Sometimes I have the project manager. I feel bad when we have to do a deal and they can't make as much as we're supposed to pay them. Yeah. Like, I feel bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll make it up on the next deal. Right. Yeah. So like, I don't know, being easy to work with, sticking to your word. Don't worry about the money. It's just going to really help you scale because people are going to want to work with you, want to give you more business because you are easy to work with. So they feel like they can do 10 houses a month when it feels like 2 for some other people. That's why the guy in St. Louis dropped all his other clients for me, because he knew that I was true to my word, had the cash in the bank, ready to go, no bullshit. The thing, what I say is what is going to happen.
Yeah.
And so he trusts me fully. And that's why he was willing in his brain and his business to let go of all those other people, because they were just time sucks. So pretty much don't be a time suck.
Yeah. There you go.
It's going to really help you scale. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And I love how you mentioned, like, don't get caught up on the $400 and the $100 here. Like,
yeah,
even on that first deal that I had where I lost a little bit of money, like, that sucked and it hurt. But I was like, you know what? Real estate is going to be worth millions of dollars to me over time. So I'm not going to stress about the money, like losing on my first deal. It sucks. It's embarrassing, whatever. But hey, we learned a ton and we learned what mistakes we made. And so, and I would say that to any new investor, like if you're worried about losing your $5,000 on this first deal, like you're looking at it way too short-sighted, way too small. Yeah. Real estate can be worth millions, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars for you. So don't be so worried about the $5,000 or whatever it is. Yeah. Like it's just, get in, get resourceful and get in now. Don't waste any more time. This has been awesome, man. This has been super, I've enjoyed the conversation. Yeah, no, exactly. Super cool conversation with you, man. I appreciate it. If people want to check you out, contact you, follow you, where should we send them?
Yeah, sure. So best place is going to be on Instagram at martelantoine.com. Go give me a follow, DM me, ask me any questions you have. I have a lot of content there too. So check that out. And then if you have any questions, feel free to message me. I'd love to help you.
Perfect. Well, thanks, man. Any parting advice before we shut it down?
Oh man, just stop making excuses, be resourceful, figure it out, and don't be a time suck.
There you go. And we're out. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Money Maven Project podcast. A true Maven shares knowledge with others, so be sure to share this podcast and leave a review. Thanks so much, and until next time, live life with intention.